Hi everyone, it's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel and another paper crafting video tutorial. Today we're going to create a Christmas themed card with products from the Hero Arts October 2024 release, as well as some previously released goodies. As always, I love to mix and match. So we're going to start with our background panel for our card today using this awesome new stencil from Hero Arts. I have trimmed my background down to 4 by 5 1/4. This is going to leave us with a little bit of a background so that I think it's going to fit a little nicer. Plus I want that white border when I place this on my white top fold card base. Now we are going to use some pearl white Hero Arts paste today to create a textured circular grid background. There are 2 new stencils in the add-ons and then the wonderful Gingerbread Man fancy die. Each month the add-ons for the release kind of vary. I always work with the add-ons. There are also kits available, so make sure and check out the Hero Arts website for all of those details. I am using a stencil pal. Now once I kind of glop my paste on, if you will, I want to have a nice even application. So I used my stencil pal to apply that paste evenly. Look how amazing that looks. Now off camera, I did go clean the stencil, the palette knife, and the stencil pal completely and let those sit in the drainer to dry. You want to get that off as soon as possible. And I also cleaned my stamp wheel mat immediately. Now I have die cut the Gingerbread Man Peeking die, the candy cane, and the peppermint from some Hammermill smooth white cardstock. I like the 100-pound weight. There is also the option of like the lollipop that it looks like the gingerbread man is holding, which I think is so cute. Now, if you have been with me for any amount of time, you guys know that I am a sucker for these Hero Arts products. I love their fancy dies. Love, love, love the fancy dies. And I'm really enjoying seeing additions to their Peeking die collection. They have like Peeking Witch, Snowman, Reindeer. I know I'm forgetting something. I think, a bunny. I mean, there's lots of different seasons. So this year's edition is this adorable Peeking Gingerbread Man. I also have a fondness for gingerbread man images or gingerbread man houses or gingerbread houses, pardon me. Anything like that. I just love them. So we're going to keep our palette pretty traditional today. There are other ways to use this die. For example, you could die cut it from several different sheets of cardstock, cut them apart kind of on those die lines, and then piece it together. I have done that before. Oh, there's a Peeking Elf. That was part of the 2023 class from Hero Arts. So there's other options out there, and you can really mix and match the different components with those if you want to. But what I like to do, and for that elf class, that was a good example of me cutting apart the dies and piecing them together. This time I kind of kept it maybe what I would consider a little easier, and I decided to color them in, kind of using those die lines as what you would use your black stamped outline. So I am taking Olo markers and I am coloring in my gingerbread man. Now, I had thought I would use an additional color, but I'm really just liking the the O 4.3 and 4.6 from Olo. And so that's what I ended up doing. But I'm going to go back and you're going to see me darken some of the areas of my gingerbread man and then blend them out. I'm not too worried about the mouth, the buttons, or the eyes. The buttons we're going to replace with an embellishment. The eyes we're going to replace with an embellishment. And the mouth we're going to color in with a red marker that is going to go right over the brown or the neutral that we used. Now, instead of keeping the little squiggly frosting lines on our gingerbread man white, I know they're probably traditionally white. I wanted some color. And so I opted to use some yellow-green markers in YG 8.5 and 8.7. I went in with my lighter color first, and then I'm just kind of drawing in that darker color. We're even going to add in a little white squiggle, but we're going to wait a minute to do that with our white Jelly Roll pen. With my red markers, I am going to color in the mouth, being very careful. You'll notice I flipped my gingerbread man for the coloring there. That's just to kind of keep within the lines. Okay, he is looking cute. He'll be cuter, I promise. Let's set him aside for a minute and let's color our candy cane. Now, I did something a little different for me. I usually tend to go for some warm grays or cool grays when shading for white stripes. And I decided to go for neutral tones today with O 4.0 and 4.1. For our reds, we are going to use R 0.5 and 0.6, outlining first with our 0.6 and then blending that out with the 0.5. And we're going to do that all the way down our candy cane. This is a fabulous candy cane, by the way. I love the size of this. It's so cute. Now, what was I going to say about this? Oh, yes. This is one of the options. As I mentioned earlier in the video, there is a lollipop as well, and you could do this in other color combos if you wanted to. I especially love red and pink, like a nice light pink. You could even draw in like a little green stripe if you wanted to, add in that little green, or you could do a green and white stripe. There are lots of options. You could even do like the multicolored candy cane if you want to go a little bit less than the traditional route. Now, I did notice with that red stripe, I kind of got outside the lines a little bit, quote unquote lines. There are obviously no dark and heavy black lines here. However, I think when we attach the candy cane to the gingerbread man, his hand is going to cover that up, so I'm not going to worry about it. Try to not worry about maybe little mishaps like that. Many times they will almost be unnoticeable in the finished card. And I knew when I was designing this project that I was going to incorporate greenery and kind of have a collage of images in the center of that circular grid background. So I decided to just roll with it and see how it turned out. So now we're going in with those O markers, as I mentioned, O 4.1 and 4.0. So kind of a stripe of the dark and then a little blend out with the lighter color. And we're not going crazy overboard adding in these brown or neutral shades. And even when we're done with this, we're going to take our 0 marker and kind of blend that out a little bit more just to soften that edge. All it's going to do is going to give us a little bit of shading. It's not going to add color to the white portions of our candy cane. Okay, we're going to do pretty much the same thing for the peppermint. I decided to keep it red and white as well. I had kind of considered maybe doing a little green stripe in the peppermint, but decided not to. Let's glue our gingerbread man to the candy cane before we do that. I am going to put a little glue just on the back of the hands and then glue that in place. And you can see it does really disguise maybe that little coloring mishap just a little bit, which is fabulous. Now I decided let's go ahead and embellish our gingerbread man. So let's take our white pen and let's add some highlights to the candy cane. I think this makes candy canes and candies look a little bit more realistic or something. I love the little highlight it adds. And then I decided to go over the green coloring on the frosting on our gingerbread man with a little white stripe. I'm not trying to cover up the green, we're just highlighting it. We're going to add some white dots to the cheeks, and I think that's so cute. We'll add a couple more highlights a little bit later on. With my 4.3 marker, that's the lighter shade, I am adding a little dot texture and detail to some of the darker shaded areas of our gingerbread man. That's just going to add a little bit of added interest. And then I have my peppermint shapes. All of my embellishments are from Pretty Pink Posh today. I'm going to take a little bit, grab a couple of these peppermints that are the same size, and I thought they would make cute buttons. Pearls, sequins, gems, all would be cute on here as well. That's why I didn't worry about coloring over those areas, because I knew that I had fun embellishments that we could use to add extra detail and fun to this image. For the eyes, I am taking some black pearls from Pretty Pink Posh, and that instantly makes our gingerbread man face come to life. This little step all on its own is probably one of my favorites. I love this. For some reason, adding eyes to images or adding detail to them with a black jelly roll pin, which is also a great option here if you don't have black pearls, is one of those things that makes the face pop. Let's color in our peppermint really quick with our red and neutral markers. And again, I'm laying down my dark and then blending out with the light. And I am doing this just spinning it around. You could definitely cut more of these for your project if you wanted to. And the same thing goes for the candy cane. Both the peppermint and the candy cane, as well as the lollipop that I did not use for my project today, could all be used and intermixed with any of the other Peeking dies or just on other projects. If you have other dies and things that, or you want to build some sort of a candy scene, you could very easily do that. Lots of great ways to utilize these wonderful products. Oh, look how cute that little peppermint is. I just want to make sure the edges are all colored nicely. Another idea for the candy cane and peppermint, before you glue them, like glue them to the gingerbread man or glue them to your project, you could always add a nice layer of glossy accents, or you could use the crystal lacquer from Hero Arts or the sparkle crystal lacquer from Hero Arts. I think that would be amazing as well. Now, I did die cut a couple of pieces of my favorite greenery from the Holly Berries XL Stampin' Cut from Hero Arts. I die cut these again from smooth white cardstock. You could color them in with your alcohol ink markers or other coloring medium. We're going to ink blend though today to add our green color. I've grabbed my glass mat here so that I can clean this up easily, and we are going to take cabbage ink and we're going to do a nice base color all over our greenery with the cabbage color ink. This is going to provide a beautiful base for shading in some of the kale ink to darken it a little bit. What I love about adding this festive greenery or foliage to our project is that it provides a softening element, and it also provides a pop of color that is not red or white. To me, that definitely helps bring your gingerbread man a little bit more into the forefront of the design, and it really adds amazing interest. Along the edges of the petals, I'm using a smaller blending brush. Now these colors will tend to fade and soften a little bit as they dry. I'm using the light and the dark in this trio of inks from Simon Says Stamp. The middle color is probably my favorite, which is funny, it's artichoke, but I wanted a little bit more of a contrast today, so I chose to do cabbage and kale. And that looks so good. I love how this looks. Okay, we're going to glue this back behind, or tuck this kind of back behind our candy cane and gingerbread man, but you'll notice that part of it is on top, part of it is behind, and that's going to give it a much more natural look. Almost like this little gingerbread man is out in the candy cane forest and there's greenery around some of the candies and things like that. We're going to do the same inking technique for the smaller little branch, and that's going to be tucked over to the right side of our gingerbread. You'll also notice that I have some numbers die cut. These are the number 2 and number 5 fancy dies from Hero Arts. Those also are a previous release. If I'm not mistaken, those were a 2023 release, as were the Holly Berries Stampin' Cut. I am a big fan of going back to other products in my stash, in my arsenal, favorites. And some of my very, very favorites are the alphabet and the numbers from Hero Arts. I'm using those favorites. These greenery pieces, the Holly Berries set, are favorites. And then you're also going to get favorites with the sentiment strips, stamp sets, and die from Hero Arts. I kind of tend to go with favorites a lot, but they almost always are things that can be used in multiple ways. I am a huge fan of products that can be extended beyond just one season, one project, or one card. I decided for the berries, I wanted to do the little bit more muted, I guess. These are the ruby red. There's also I think it's cherry red, if I might be wrong. It's a little bit more of a solid red. These kind of have a little shimmer to them almost. And again, these are pretty pink posh, but I liked these, and I'm going to add these to any of the little berry areas on the greenery. So I'm using my embellishment wand to pick those up and put them in place. I waited to do this until I had my greenery where it was going to go, because I don't need to add any of these embellishments to something that might be back behind other elements. All right, on the rest of my scrap of smooth white hammermill cardstock, I am going to take the Merry Christmas sentiment strips and stamp this. Yes, it is all one image. You're going to stamp the whole thing. You'll take the sentiment strip die that's made to work with all of the sentiment strip sets from Hero Arts, minus the set that has a different coordinating die for it, I think, if I'm not mistaken. This works for almost all of them, if not all. It is one of my very favorite products because I love sentiment strips and I like making my own. I stamped these with Lawn Fawn Lobster Red ink today. We're going to take the coordinating die. We're going to temporarily tape this in place, run this through our die cutting machine, and I am going to have sentiment strips for our card, as well as plenty to use on other projects during the season. I am going to stick these all in one of my favorite Spellbinders craft stacks, and I can run to that and grab a little red stamped sentiment anytime I need that. Now, a lot of these sentiments have multiple on one strip, so you can simply trim those down if you need to. I like to just use my scissors to do that. And for our card today, I want to first attach my gingerbread and everything, and then we're going to put Wishing You a Sweet Season down below. I definitely want to use some other sentiments, but let's figure out our placement for everything, and then we can go from there. So I have adhered my gingerbread man candy cane and greenery with foam. We've overlapped and attached our fancy die cut number 2 and 5. These were die cut from Simon Says Stamp Luxe cardstock. I love it. It's this chunky, glittery look. And I wanted the 25 to be nice and bold. We're going to layer the Merry Everything over that. And then I'm going to choose another phrase to layer up at the top. So I decided to choose Fill Your Heart with Joy, and we'll just trim that down. And I need the foam adhesive to kind of straddle the greenery, if you will. And that is because I want it to lay nice and flat. And I'm using sentiment, small thin strips, pardon me, of foam adhesive. So kind of seeing where I need to put that, I'm going to put it on one side, leave a little space, place it on the other side, and then when I peel off the backing paper, I'm going to make sure that that greenery kind of goes right in between. So it's going to lay nice and flush, basically. And I noticed I messed up my pearls, so I am going to carefully peel that one off, and we will re-glue that in just 1 second. You'll notice that my sentiment strips do not all line up perfectly, and that is on purpose. This one is shifted a little more over to the left. The Merry Everything is shifted even more over to the left, and Wishing You a Sweet Season is right in the center. Now, I thought about putting foam over Merry Everything, but ultimately I decided let's just glue that flat to this because those numbers are already popped up with some foam. And that is almost it. The last thing we're going to do is take our white pen, and I want to add in some highlight detail to the greenery on our card specifically. This is going to help match to anything else I've already done. I added highlight to the peppermint. We're going to add a little highlight to all of the leaves, and I did add a couple of additional highlights even to our gingerbread man to finish him up. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this holiday themed card featuring Hero Arts October 2024 release products. The supplies I used to create my card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. I've also listed all of the Olo markers that I used for coloring today's card. Thank you guys so much for joining me for today's project, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye! Thank you so much for joining me today for another paper crafting tutorial. I love being able to share with this incredible community of crafters. I want to give a huge shout out and special thank you to my amazing Patreon members. If you're interested in joining Patreon, please click the link in the description underneath the video here on YouTube. Patreon is a private community where you can support more of what I do. There is exclusive content, information, and behind-the-scenes content. Top-tier members will receive a handmade birthday card during your birthday month, access to D-Stash, and monthly exclusive lives, plus so much more. We would love to have you join our growing community. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel, click that like button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to always be notified when I have a new video. Thanks for watching!